This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store, Forged Irish Stout and freebets.com. Delighted to be joined with Dave Coldwell. You've turned up in Liverpool, mate, to save the day. How are, mate? How are we?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm happy to be back in Liverpool. Not been up here for a while. Got some good memories of Liverpool. The boxing, not the football. Yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow night's show. It's gonna be brilliant. It really is. Looking forward to it.
I suppose we'll firstly touch on it. You said some good memories in Liverpool. I suppose when you all come back here, the days with Bellew and that must have been very, very nice, mate.
Yeah, brilliant memories. I didn't realise that this is where the new stadium's going to be for Everton as well. Obviously, Bellew was at Goodison Park, so that's a nice memory before they pull it down or whatever they're going to do.
Absolutely, mate, and I suppose we'll touch on tomorrow night. Natasha Jonas takes on Mikaela Mayer. A big fight for Natasha, a big fight for Mikaela, both with, I suppose, at this stage in their career, so much to prove.
Yeah, and it's a big fight for the women's game as well. It's a fantastic fight. I think can't fail to deliver either with the two styles. Like you said, there's a lot on the line for both fighters. I just feel that with Mikaela, she needs an in to get back into the big fights. You know, she obviously she had that close loss to Ngannou, and she's kind of gone under the radar since. She's got a lot of confidence. She's taught us the game. She knows the game, but she ultimately wants to get back in that ring and she wants to be world champion again and get in the elite level fights. This is what this is with Tasha. You look at what she's achieved in the sport. She's a great advert for all these fighters out there that might lose a fight early on that weren't supposed to have lost, and then people write them off. She's come back from that, and then obviously Katie Taylor fight, Terry Harper draw. So she's had speed bumps along the way, but she's remained focused and carried on what she's doing, and look at how the back end of her career is. I love seeing fighters having success later on in their career, because it does show you, because everyone's in a rush to have champions early and while they're young, and if they don't make it while they're young, then they get left to one side. People forget about them. I like seeing when champions are a little bit older, when you know they're a bit of a shining light to the good prospects and good fighters, to understand that, because there's a lot of pressure on young fighters, so they can understand that when it does go wrong, rather than lose heart and think that's it, and no matter who doesn't believe in you, you can get yourself back up there. Look at people like Natasha Jonas, you know. So I think it's great for the sport, and I think tomorrow night, fight-wise, I think Tasha's got to establish the jab. She's a southpaw. Mikaela's not fought a southpaw as a pro, I believe, so I think that might have a bearing on it. But not if Tasha's waiting. I don't think she has to match Mikaela's work rate. Mikaela likes to work hard, likes to throw a lot of punches, fast combinations. I imagine her throwing, 1, 2, 3 straight. She doesn't have to match that work rate, but she has to time her, and she has to break that rhythm with a good jab, good southpaw jab. Make her miss with the shots, make her doubt herself, because she might get clocked on the way in. Line her up for that left hand. I believe the body shots are going to be a big key for this, because that'll stop Mikaela or that would stop Mikaela being able to put a foot on the pedal and down the middle stretch of that, keep going. So I think that's where the fight could be won or lost, really, is Tasha's jab, Tasha's body work, setting up for that left hand. Mikaela, for me, she's a little bit straight up, but she's got good feet. I think it's about foot placement as well with Tasha. I lean towards Natasha Jonas. I think she wins the fight. Wouldn't surprise me if she stops her late, and it's a big call, 2-minute rounds up. But I just feel that if she gets it right, I think she could, down the stretch, she could put in a stoppage.
What did you make of Mikaela Mayer jumping up this far in weight? We know she's campaigned at super featherweight for a long time. Do you feel like we could see a better version of her, or she's bit off a little bit more than she could chew?
Bit of both. Could be either. I think we'll see a better version of her, because she must have struggled to make that weight, because she's massive. Now, when I was out in America, I saw her training, and probably early December, I think it was. Saw her training, and she was big, a lot bigger than what she's there. So when you're talking about the weight, I heard her in her interview with Sky there, she said, people are talking about me jumping up a weight. I still had to cut weight. she had to cut weight because she was big. So maybe if that's how she's been and trying to make super featherweight, then you're going to see a much better version, much healthier version, stronger, perhaps more energy. So yeah, she could be, but in this fight, I just feel as though Jonas has got so much inner belief now. Mikaela's gonna, she's been away from the big fights for quite a while. Obviously, she's working on TV and things like that, but she's distracted with that. She's not been in amongst the big fights herself for quite a while. To go straight in against a very good southpaw that can punch, and you've not fought a southpaw before as a pro. I just think that's a big key in the fight, and if Jonas can implement a game plan there, then I think that can be the difference. But Mikaela Mayer is a quality fighter, quality operator, and I think I don't think it's a 50-50 fight. I think on paper it's a 50-50 fight, but for me personally, I'm more towards a 60-40 in Tasha's favour.
Absolutely, and I suppose we'll move on to big news that came yesterday. That it is signed the 5 versus 5 of Eddie's fighters, 5 of Frank's fighters. It is signed. I suppose it can concern you in a way. Your man Hopey Price. He's a potential fight against Nathaniel Collins. Is it good to sort of see something like this and exciting for I suppose an ultimate showdown with both sides of the river?
Listen, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. We've said for years and years, every time people have always put on Twitter, talked about it before. Warren versus Hearn, Hearn versus Warren. Let's get their fighters fighting each other. Everyone's been saying it for years. Now it's going to happen. And you know what I loved? I loved the fact that that he got put on the toes at a press conference. They sat there together, they got to shake hands on it, got to agree to it, and that's it. And that's what he's done. He's making things happen in the sport. And I'm excited. I can't wait to see what fighters he make. I would like to see a blend. Obviously, you got your top line fights. Listen, everyone wants to see Fury against Adrian. I want to see the top level fights, yes, but also, like you mentioned there, prospects and domestic champions like Hopey and Nathaniel Collins, people like that. I'd like to see, if Callum carries on boxing, I'd like to see Callum Smith against Anthony Yard. I think that's a fight that everyone's been wanting to see. Fights like that all the way through the card, I think a blend would be great. And I'd like it to not just be a one-off. I don't think it's going to happen all the time, obviously, but maybe like an annual event. I think that's something that could happen. They did Eddie's back garden every year for a couple of years. They did Monaco every year. I think all fans would like to see. Once a year. That's the card. There you go.
I suppose you could do like a winner stays on, team matchroom wins and they fight 5 of top ranked prospects, maybe something like that.
Yeah, I don't think Top Rank could get involved. I think Bob Arum's a little bit different. For starters, I don't think he'd want to work with Eddie anyway. But listen, money makes the world go round, so we're seeing that right now. If they're paying, then everybody's playing.
Playing devil's advocate, is there negative side to this because we're seeing domestic fights between two fighters not happening in the UK and it's further taking away potential, it's sort of lowering the value of potential cards and fights in the UK?
Yeah, there is that possibility. I get what you're saying, but also with that, we had the big fights were happening in Vegas when I was coming through and I was starting off in the sport. You dream to box in Vegas. The reason why they're happening in Vegas is Vegas casinos are paying the big site fees. Well, this is what's happening in Saudi base, that you're getting a big site fee, fighters are getting paid, so they're going to happen over there. The big fights are going to happen over there, while ever that's going on. I don't see it as a regular thing where you've got British title fights that are, like I said, this Hearn versus Warren thing, it's not going to happen every month, every other month. Like I'm hoping it's once a year, but that's what you're going to get. When you're talking about domestic fights, so let's see what fights happen first. But at the end of the day, boxing's got people can't just look to criticise when something good is happening or when the profile's happening. People saying, "Oh, we want to see this fight, want to see it." Doesn't happen. Oh, boxing shit. This is now it's happening. All right, it's not here, but it's happening. So take the win that the fight's happening, and I would rather it happen and happening in America, happening in Saudi, happening wherever the fights are going to get made, then it not happen at all, you know. And so, you know, it's like, look back through my time, Calzaghe versus Froch, Hatton versus Witter. Who else is there? There's other fights that never happened that wanted to happen. At the peak, Kell versus Khan, right? So look how we look back on those fights and then they should happen. They should happen. Even the domestic fights in the, I think it was the 90s when light middleweight, you had loads of good light middleweight fighters. Look at Darren Barker, Martin Murray, and you know, Macklin and people like that. We wanted all these fights to happen, and they never happened. Now, looking back, the fact that they never happened, if you could go back and say, well, all right, I won't be able to go to it, but I can watch it on TV and it's going to take place in Saudi, would you want those fights to happen? Of course you would. Of course you would. So it's kind of like that. I'm looking at it like that, rather than being like, oh, well, I'd love to be there, but I can't. It's kind of like that, you know? So I would rather it happen than not.
And when it comes to Joshua versus Ngannou, where do you stand in it? Do you stand it as, you know, fair play to AJ for taking the fight, or do you look at it from a pointless point of view, would you say?
A lot of things in this world are about timing. When Ngannou Fury was made, circus, it's a joke. I'll be honest with you, I saw it as a joke. It was an exhibition fight. It was like I don't know, Rocky fighting Hulk Hogan, right? That kind of, because Ngannou had never had a fight. We saw a little clip of him on some pads, and he looked horrendously slow, right? You're talking about the #1 heavyweight in the world, but not only that, you're talking about the world heavyweight champion. Why isn't he not defending his title, which is, as a world champion, you should be defending your title? So that's why Tyson Fury got a lot of stick for it, because he was world champion. And it was coming off of, you know, Chisora and Dillian Whyte fights, not the fights that people wanted to see. So that's why it's going to get criticism. Now, AJ is not a world champion. That's what you got to remember, differentiate. He isn't world champion, you know? So it's just another fight for him. And also, what you've got to also understand is that AJ's already had 3 fights in 9 months. This will probably something like 4 fights in 12, 11 months, something like that, right? Which is fair fucking news, right? And so, if it's, you know, if you're being active as a fighter like that, you go back to days of James Toney and people like that when they had world titles, and then they might take you know, stay active, take a soft touch, you know. Top of my head, I can't think of names, but they did. Roy Jones boxing, punching postmen and people like that, you know. They've all done it, but AJ's not got a world title. So it's just a non-title fight, but it's the biggest fight that's out there for AJ right now, outside of Tyson Fury, right? Wilder got beat. That's it. That was a fight that was supposed to be made. Wilder got beat. This is the biggest fight, and you're not telling me that going on the performance of Ngannou, dropping Tyson Fury, causing him lots of problems while Tyson's trying to outbox him, and the fact that a lot of people thought Ngannou would beat him, you're not telling me that Tyson's the elite #1 heavyweight in the world. If he can give Tyson Fury problems, you're telling me you don't want to see AJ, who you say has got no chin, who you say can't box as well as Fury, but yet Fury got dropped and Fury was outboxed at points in that fight. You can't tell me that's not a fight that you don't mind seeing.
I think it's there's definitely a more intriguement factor for the fight based off of it. Like I don't think it's probably. I was playing devil's advocate there, but it's not fair to compare the attitude from Fury and Ngannou to AJ because it's completely different now.
Fury says that they gave him all respect in the world and he trained properly. Yeah, he probably did do the physical side of things properly, but mentally, come on, you find a guy that's never had a pro fight. You know, it's all human nature just to lower your defences that little bit, just not be as quiet as that, and that's all it takes against someone that actually is better than what you thought. Because then you're in the middle of a fight and it's like, what the fuck? And you're getting hit by somebody that can punch really hard. So all of a sudden these doubts and everything, my prep's not being great, and it makes you hesitate. The big thing for me in this fight is I think AJ's got an easier mission because he's got footage and he can see. We know what Ngannou's about now. But Ngannou's reach, for me, is the issue for AJ. Because I think that was what caused Fury the problems, because Fury's usually longer and taller. Well, he was taller, but he wasn't longer than Ngannou. And I think that's why when he was working his attacks, he was getting caught on the way out, and he's not used to that. AJ's got to do the same thing, because he can't stand in front of him and allow to swap punches with Ngannou without running the risk of getting clocked by him. And I think Ngannou doesn't have to hit you full on for you to feel the power. So it's an intriguing fight for me. It's a fight I'm looking forward to. It's a fight I can't wait to see.
And is there also another factor where you think about Ngannou? Probably in himself, he might have, but in himself, he probably deep down didn't believe he could beat Tyson Fury.
No, I don't believe that.
You don't think so? But he could be 20. He could be that better now because he could believe what he can do. That's what I meant. Yeah.
I believe he'll be better just for the experience, for the experience of being in with Tyson Fury and just having that shape up at that level and seeing it in front of you. It's different between watching somebody and being in the ring, sharing a ring with somebody. So he'll be a better fighter because of that. But I don't believe for 1 minute that he didn't go into that fight thinking he was going to beat Tyson Fury, because he's an elite level MMA athlete. He's not like a rugby player saying it. He's a fighter. Don't get me wrong, he's not a boxer, it's a different sport. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about the mentality. For all these I don't follow MMA, but for all these MMA guys out there that are at the elite level, they've all got that mentality. They're going to smash the shit out of you, right? So for him, fighting's fighting. He will have had no fear whatsoever of Fury, because this is a guy that gets kicked in the head and elbowed in the head or forearm smashed or whatever you want to call it. So he won't have had any fear about it. And because he's got that elite mentality, I believe he'll have gone in there expecting to win. So I don't think that, but I just do think, I agree with you, I think we'll have a better version because of the experience.
So we'll rattle off a few last couple of fighters that are looking in the future. It's about 3 weeks away now from Undisputed. Tyson Fury takes on Oleksandr Usyk. I'll keep flip-flopping between the two. It's really, really hard. I suppose when we sit here on the 19th of January 2024, what are you thinking going into the fight?
Honestly, I genuinely don't know. I think there's a lot of legs to this, because it's easy to, but you kind of got to go on the last fights. From the last performances, Tyson Fury was shocking. When you look at Fury against Wilder 3, he was shocking. Usyk in his last fight wasn't the Usyk that we know, right? They're both reaching that age in an athlete, in a fighter's life, where there's injuries, where there's wear and tear, where accumulation of a career can start catching up on fighters. Could they both be on the slide? And if they are, who's sliding more? Going on that, the Wilder fights for me, you don't know what that's taken out of Fury. Yes, we can say he didn't prepare right mentally for Ngannou, but also how sturdy is he in comparison to what he used to be because of the punishment. He said, go back, watch the fights. Not the second one. The second one was easy enough, right? But the first and the third, he took some big old lumps from Wilder. And Wilder, no matter what you say, Wilder can punch. That third fight was brutal. And when you have a fight like that, you leave a little bit of you left in that ring. How much left have you got going forward? And then the Ngannou fight was a struggle for him. I think I still say that Fury's got the advantages because of the size, the weight, leaning onto him and just tying him up and things like that. Usyk's got to work so hard to get past that range, and that's where the advantage is for someone like Fury, because he's got great feet, he's got the range. But Usyk, to get his shots off and to get back out again, it's going to take a lot of work. If Fury starts whacking the body, we know what happens with Usyk with the body. He doesn't like body shots, slows him down, doesn't like him. Fury's going to be targeting that area and then leaning in the clinches and any opportunity to put his 20 stone or whatever he's going to weigh on top of him. That again is going to slow Usyk's legs down, which he needs to be sharp to get in and out without getting caught on the way. So I think Fury's still got to be the favourite, but ability-wise, I think Usyk's got the ability to beat Fury.
Absolutely, and I think it's one that people will keep going back and forth. I think it's such a hard one, as you saying there. We really don't know, are both fighters on the slide or is it sort of ones off? So it does probably makes it for an interesting fight, because I think if you spoke about this time last year, it would be I think the response would be a little bit different. I think more people would probably be backing towards Fury, I'd say.
But that's why this makes it an even more attractive fight, because there are doubts. There are doubts about both fighters now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose just to sort of finish this off, 2023 was sort of a decent year for your stable. I see you've added for it in 2024 with Dan Toward, Hopey Price potentially in a big fight, Stephen Cairns. Looking forward to 2024?
Yeah, I am looking forward to 2024. Listen, 23, I've got a young stable. 23 was a great year for the development of the stable. Obviously, it didn't end up right with the loss out in San Francisco with Ebony. But it's boxing, you know. When you're in boxing a long time, you understand that sometimes you'll win, sometimes you'll get beat, and it never gets any easier. But 2024 is a year that I'm really looking forward to. Hopey Price goes, you know, he's mandatory now for the British title. Stephen Cairns got some exciting news about to be dropped about him. He's 7-0 now, ready for the next stage of his career. He's an exciting fighter, a very good fighter, and his IQ is just developing so much. You know, and like you say, I've added Dan Toward to the stable as well. Ellis Price turning professional. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to 2024.
Absolutely, and I'm looking forward to how the year goes for you, mate. Always good to catch up with you, Dave. Always sort of a nice, long, insightful interview. So I appreciate taking time to speak to me, mate. And yeah, enjoy Liverpool, and I'm sure it brings good memories to you. Top man, mate. Thank you. Cheers.
We need to think of a new advert for freebets.com.
Get your best betting offers from freebets.com.
Yeah, that'll do.
The following deals are now live.